version of Mark Zuckerberg. They like pictured the different angles of him, and the last fourth photo of the frame was him in court.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, how can he have more life in the Madame Tussauds sort of like character than in real life when he was in court with AOC. Yeah, which I thought was quite funny.
Yeah.
He does look like a robot. Though.
He does. Have you seen that? Have you seen the questioning with AOC?
Yes.
Oh my God!
Yes. He's had a few.
Yeah, but the one I saw this week was actually when it was the white supremacy question right at the end, where he actually completely blanks and you realize he wasn't prepared at all because he just goes. This complete deadpan face, like, whoa, where did that come from?
Get my lawyer on the phone now.
Exactly.
Can I say this,
Hold on, did you not give me a list of questions that you were going to ask me? But that's just Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, it's. I remember one. Sorry, I'm going to go back. Do you remember the question, the one he had in front of the Congress panel?
Yeah.
And he kept everything, Congressman. At one point we were actually playing a drinking game where we actually, every time he said Congressman, we were drinking from a pint of beer, and all of us before the end of the night we were completely out. Literally every five. Congressman. I was like, whoa, I'm feeling wavy now.
Too much.
It was too much.
Way too much.
But Mark Zuckerberg is a funny guy. Like,
there's something that just doesn't sit right with me with him. I mean, I think it's the same thing that everyone can kind of see, but it just creeps me out, man.
Yeah,
he's a weird man.
He's a weird dude. But the things that you saw, like from The Social Network, when Jesse Lindbergh played him in that film, I thought maybe he was overdoing it, but then you realize Zuckerberg is a bit of a he's a fruit job.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's ironic that like Facebook it was like the ultimate social media, and this man has no social skills. Like I think he would just benefit from literally just being locked in a room by himself. If it's a jail cell, who knows?
Point of reason. There could be a legitimate reason for that.
No, there absolutely could be.
Probably.
There could be. But I'm just pointing out the point that you wouldn't expect someone so socially inept to be the face of a social media company.
No, but you'd be surprised that I listened to one podcast and they interviewed different startup owners and stuff, and those that have gone like to the billions worth of billion market valuation of their company. And one of them was like a US shoe sort of like, imagine a super large shoe shop, online e-commerce, where the investors didn't like really think, oh, people could buy shoes over the internet, and they were one of the first ones to actually to change that. And one of the investors that came in and like really co-founded it, he hates shoes. Like he has like a pair of sandals and maybe like Chuck Taylors, and that was it. And he owned a multi-billion company where they sold shoes online to men, to women, to children.
Okay.
So it's crazy. It's like,
yeah, I retract my comment. Anyone can do anything.
Exactly.
Put me in my place.
Cool. Well, enough about the socials. There's so much out there. So let's just we could be talking about it all day. Kanye and all of his friends and everyone out there.
All the gossip, the trashy gossip that we will love so much.
Exactly.
So let's move it on now to our main topic for the show. Of course, we have Ronnie Johnson with us, who you are now very familiar with. We are going to be talking about just generally how AI influences the public perception of particular people, the people that you would look out and see as influencers, how it's already affecting the way that we look at sport and the power that it can have for society and sport, of course, moving forward. So firstly, the first question I want to ask is, in terms of influencers and influencer marketing, like where do we start with that? Because it feels like the word influencer is something that's just kind of thrown around. And like I said in the intro, it's just something that we all know as that sort of person on social media that is an influencer. So where does it all start?
For me, I think it starts with the personality. So there's a particular personality, and they have a particular channel where they showcase and voice that personality. So on Twitter, there might be one person who's known for being funny, and they're always not necessarily telling jokes, but just how they write, some of the content, their replies, it's witty, like, oh, this guy's funny. There's others that are creating FIFA videos, and it's not necessarily them playing FIFA, but it's more so their personality, like very fun moments that they capture, and it gets distributed, on YouTube. That's like one example. Twitter being the funny guy, maybe Instagram, someone who has a good fashion personality, a fashion sense.
Okay.
And I think it really starts from the personality, and then having a platform to distribute to people. And I think slowly but surely, we spoke about Kanye a little bit earlier. In his earlier days, I'm sure this was, how some of the hype originated around him, and he had a personality around music and production, and wasn't like the music game. But slowly but surely, as the personality had a platform to reach more and more people became fans or followers of such. And it's only, I guess, now on the platform where you can actually capture the number of followers that you have, because every time someone likes your content, they'll subscribe, or they will follow you, or they'll save for later, etc.
Right. Okay.
Whilst the music labels beforehand, maybe you can capture that by the amount of streams or the amount of people go to your concerts, etc.
Right. Okay.
So I think with influencers, slowly but surely, it's from personality to distribution. Over time, you get a fan base, and if someone who you like says, "Oh, hey, I've got these North Face gloves. They keep me so warm," and then you realize, "Crap, I haven't got a pair of gloves." But this guy's like recommending these North Face gloves, and okay, next time I'm walking across the shop, I see it. Subconsciously, it's going to already be in my mind. I guess that's how marketing works, where it's so many touch points. You've seen it so many times, and then when you actually see the shop, you're like, I'm cold. I don't have gloves. There's North Face right here.
Yeah.
Maybe I should purchase a pair. And imagine that one person just times by 1,000, times by 1,000,000.
Exactly.
Pretty much. That's what my view would be.
So is that kind of like your role then with your clients, to sort of maximize those points of reference?
It's a tough one. There's so many different aspects to it, because it depends on who you're talking to. So let's say you're talking to a sports club. They have different needs and different things that they want consumers to do. So they might want consumers to go to the stadium ultimately and buy tickets for a match game, compared to a Coca-Cola who wants people to buy Coca-Cola products. Very, very different buying patterns.
Okay.
So it's like, if you're trying to convince someone to buy a pair of gloves, it's very different to how you'll tell someone to, let's say, buy a book. So what we do is sort of work on the data side thing first, whereby we gather data on consumers, understand their purchasing habits, understand how they interact, the content that they engage with, and then we sort of like map that to an influencer.
Okay.
When we speak to a brand, we're like, who are you trying to get access to? That's the high level question. So we're trying to get our product in the States, or we have a heavy presence in the States. We want to now open Europe, or we want to enter into China or India specifically. So like, okay, cool, great. What demographic? So is it male, female? What is the age range? Are you trying to capture the gaming community, sports? So the more targeted you can be, the better.
Okay.
So when we understand that sort of data, then we'll say, okay, so therefore these are the best influencers in that territory for that range.
Right.
And we'll be able to firstly just get a list, which saves you a countless amount of weeks of work.
Wow.
Because imagine trying to profile 5,000 Instagrammers and trying to understand where they are globally, who their fan base is.
Okay.
You can imagine, like, it might take the four of us stuck in a room for a few good months to figure that out. So that's where like the role of tech and AI comes a little bit later on to try and like help predict relevant insights that the brand might want. So there's a data side which I think strategically makes sense to pick up first.
Okay.
But then it's like, okay, so how do you activate and engage with this consumer?
Yeah, that's what I was about. That's what I was
Right.
about to ask you.
Yeah.
So how do you now exactly figure out? Okay, now that I know what he's looking for, now that I have these consumers, what do you what's the joining point. Yeah.
Cool. So again, goes back to the platform. So where the platform. Also, what is the best appropriate platform?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, if it's for gaming, it might be Twitch. You know, one of the more up and or has been around for a while now.
I don't know how that works.
I've never used it, but I'm aware of it.
Like, if you want to see like FIFA videos,
Yeah.
Cool. But long story short, you distribute relevant, engaging content
Okay.
to those audiences, and then they'll be driven to.
Okay. I saw recently. I don't know if you have any kind of background knowledge on this. Cristiano Ronaldo makes more money on Instagram than he actually gets paid to play football.
Seriously?
Yeah, he has that bigger reach. I think he has 158 million followers. He's the biggest. He has the biggest following on Instagram, and per paid post, he gets like 1 million.
Yeah. So funny enough, I saw that post yesterday.
Oh, okay.
In the office, so it was like $975,000 per Instagram post. And then my colleague was like, "Oh, where did he get that stat from?" So I was already buying into. I was like, "Wow, that's crazy."
Yeah.
Getting like $48 million on Instagram alone.
Yeah, exactly.
But my colleague was like, "All right, so where did that stat come from then?" And then as we dug into it, I don't think that's real.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay.
I think a company, it was behind, so I don't know if I mentioned, but the article was by a platform called Hopper.
Okay, right.
Yeah, so it's similar to Claire.
Yeah.
And they would analyze Ronaldo's posts,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll say each post is valued at $1 million, for example.
Yeah.
Then they'll say in the last year, he's had 48 ad posts. So they'll do their
maths and
equate it to like 48 million.
Okay.
So I want to see his profit and loss accounts
Exactly.
and his bank balance.
I want to see his bank
first,
balance.
I'm trying to see that.
Exactly.
Show me that first.
Because I'm thinking it must because it just sounded unreal. Like who's paying who $1 million to do what? Like seriously, like I mean, I need more followers, man. One of my pages needs more followers. Let me do this.
It kind of leads me nicely into my next question, which was going to be, what is it? So if we're looking at Cristiano Ronaldo as like a freak example, but what is it that makes one individual more marketable than another?
So one, let's say you are the Cristiano Ronaldo and I'm just me.
Not the first time it's been.
I like that. Well, as my guy mentioned, you have 158 million fans, and I don't. First and foremost, so you can ideally speak to a lot more people than I can, which brands think, okay, that's a great avenue to meet 158 million consumers. Obviously, might be fake accounts and burner accounts, and duplicates and stuff like that. So yeah, number one is the number of followers, but I think that was like the breakthrough point maybe like 5 years ago. Now it's more about engagement. So the other reason is if within that 158 million you have like a 10%, 20% engagement rate, that means you're engaging with millions of people and they're actively engaging back to you. Whilst if it was like more realistically like 0.01%, whereas like in the thousands, then it becomes less appealing. So it's about engagement, it's about the amount of views, and it's about how your community thinks about you. If they really think you're good, then they'll follow through.
So is that something that if we keep it as football players, that they would have developed like naturally just as humans, that then gets picked up by like companies and stuff? It's like this person has got the charisma and everything, that the foundations that we're already looking for to then build upon.
But I don't think they do it enough.
You don't think that?
Especially in the UK, no way. Like, look at how LeBron is in the States. He's like a god. He's like a emperor.
Yeah.
And all the basketball players, like from Russell Westbrook, obviously fashion orientated, Steph Curry, Splash Brothers with Klay Thompson. Like, they're all personalities, and they're celebrated for being personalities. Whilst in the UK, if Sterling takes a video with his friends away on holiday, he's been on holiday. That's why he can't play for England.
Yeah.
You know, so like
they don't give them that. Yeah, it is no
boring.
Yeah, it's more negative press if you're doing anything outside of playing your sport. And I don't understand that. Like, why is the? And it's not even. It's any player. Like if it's Luke Shaw on holiday, it's the same. It's Jack Wilshere who's in Ibiza. Oh, why is